Ella Laner stormed through her parents' front door, her face pale and streaked with tears. The moment her mother, Penelope Strickland, saw her, she could tell something was deeply wrong. "Eleanor, sweetheart, what's going on?" she asked, quickly pulling her daughter into a firm embrace. Unable to hold herself up, Ella Laner collapsed into her mother's arms, her sobs rattling through her like tremors. In between gasping cries, she managed to utter, "Zachary, he's gone." Penelope gently stroked her daughter's hair, trying to soothe her into speaking clearly. Ella Laner pulled away just enough to reach into her coat and thrust an envelope toward her father, Anthony Strickland, with trembling hands. "He sent this to my office," she managed through broken breaths. Anthony accepted the envelope cautiously, his expression blank but focused. Before he opened it, he asked in a steady voice, "Where's Benjamin? Is he with Zachary?" Ella Laner nodded, sniffling. "Yeah, Zach dropped Kevin off here earlier and said he was taking Benjamin to run errands." She wiped her cheeks with the back of her hand, then added, her voice cracking, "And then this arrived at work. Divorce papers." Anthony eased into his favorite chair, scanning his wife and daughter, who clung to each other on the couch like castaways clinging to wreckage. Penelope whispered calming words while he carefully unfolded the documents. His face hardened as he read. "No discussion? No warning?" he muttered under his breath, barely containing the storm inside him. "He served you at your workplace?" His eyes flicked back to his daughter. "He's accusing you of cheating," he said flatly. "Is it true?" Eleanor's face contorted in grief. "No, I never betrayed him. He thinks I'm involved with someone from work, but he's wrong. I love him." Her sobs broke into sharp cries. Anthony's mouth tightened. Not for a moment did he believe the accusation held weight. "This smells like a setup," he thought. He pressed on. "Did he ever say why he thought that? What made him so certain?" Eleanor's frustration boiled over. "I don't know. Maybe because I hugged a co-worker after we landed a big deal," she spat. Then, lowering her voice, she admitted, "There was one night after a work party. I had too much to drink, and a colleague kissed me. I pulled away the moment I realized it, and that was it. Nothing else happened. I swear." Anthony turned another page, his brow furrowed. "He's asking for shared custody of Benjamin," he said slowly, "but he wants nothing to do with Kevin. In fact, he's requesting that Kevin's last name be changed and that his name be removed from the birth certificate. Any idea why?" A heavy silence followed. Penelope and Eleanor exchanged a horrified look before Eleanor collapsed again into her mother's arms, a fresh wave of sobs erupting from her chest. Anthony's voice sliced through the tension, low, steady, commanding. "Eleanor, look at me." Hesitantly, she lifted her tear-soaked face to meet his eyes. Penelope sat frozen, uneasy as Anthony's voice dropped heavier. "He claims Kevin isn't his biological son. There's a DNA test attached showing less than a 1% chance of paternity. Is that accurate?" A strangled sound escaped Eleanor as she buried her face into her mother's shoulder. Penelope shot Anthony a sharp look. "That's not helping," she snapped. He didn't waver. "Did you know about this?" he asked Penelope coldly. "Did she ever tell you?" Penelope paused, weighing every word carefully. "No," she said at last. "This is the first I'm hearing of it. Eleanor's as shocked as we are." Anthony didn't look convinced. "Hand me your phones. Both of you." Penelope's jaw clenched. "What?" "Absolutely not. You're not invading our privacy." His voice was steel. "If there's nothing to hide, then there's nothing to fear. Unlock them, or tomorrow I'm filing for divorce." Penelope's tone turned venomous. "You have never had a reason to doubt me, Anthony. I'm not handing over my phone, and we're not getting divorced." Anthony remained still. "I've turned a blind eye to too much for too long, but no more. Watching my daughter allow another man to raise her child has changed everything. The phones. Now, or this ends." Penelope snapped, her fury erupting. "To hell with you. I'll bleed you dry and leave you with nothing." Anthony stood up, placing the papers on the table without a word. His tone was laced with disappointment. "Then do what you must." He walked into the kitchen, leaving the fractured family behind. Moments later, he returned holding a Ziploc bag, turning it inside out and sliding it over his hand like a glove. He began collecting the tear-soaked napkins that lay crumpled in front of Eleanor. Once gathered, he reversed the bag and sealed it tightly. Penelope's voice shattered the stillness. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" she shouted, her hand trembling as she pointed at the bag. Her whole frame shook with a rage Anthony hadn't seen in 30 years of marriage. In that instant, he realized he might never have truly known her at all. "I'm going to ask Zachary which DNA service he used," Anthony replied calmly. "He found out Kevin wasn't his. Now I need to know whether Eleanor is mine, or if you've lied to me for almost 30 years. Penelope let out a guttural scream and lunged at him, her nails aimed at his face with primal fury. Losing your breath is a feeling words can barely describe. The panic, the desperation, the gasping. It hit her all at once. Anthony reacted instinctively. Though it had been over 40 years since his brief stint in karate, muscle memory kicked in. As Penelope's nails raked his skin, he struck her solar plexus, just hard enough to knock the wind from her chest. She collapsed, gasping, her face twisted in fear. As Penelope writhed, struggling for air, Eleanor screamed in horror. Anthony didn't flinch. He turned and walked toward his study. He knew she would catch her breath in a few moments, but he had no time left to wait. He knew he had to get out before she recovered her composure. Without wasting a second, he moved swiftly through the house, gathering his laptop, tablet, and a few sets of clothes. Before stepping out, he logged into the Wi-Fi router and changed the password. Penelope's entire digital life, from Facebook to Reddit, depended on that connection. Cutting it off would leave her digitally stranded. With everything he needed packed tightly into a backpack, Anthony walked past his wife, who was still struggling to regain full breath, without acknowledging her. He exited the house silently. 30 years of marriage had just come to a close. His first stop was a nearby McDonald's. There, he connected to the free Wi-Fi and got to work. Methodically, he accessed their shared financial accounts. He paid off and shut down their joint American Express Gold Card, then did the same with their Chase credit account. Next, under the pretense of paying a landscaping vendor, he transferred half the funds from their joint checking account into one under his name. It was clean, quick, and efficient. That evening, Anthony pulled up to the Davis residence. Adam Davis answered the door with a weary, knowing look. "This turned into an absolute mess," Anthony muttered. "Mess doesn't even begin to describe it," Adam responded, leading him out to the patio, which overlooked the golf course. "Drink." Bourbon was poured. The two men sat in silence for a few moments, the weight of everything settling between them like fog. "How's Zachary holding up?" Anthony finally asked. Adam raised an eyebrow. "Do you even have to ask? He's losing his youngest boy. You're losing your grandson. This kind of damage doesn't just fade away." Anthony leaned forward, elbows on knees, burdened with guilt. "I can't look my wife or daughter in the eye. Penelope suspected Kevin might not be Zachary's and kept quiet. And now I'm questioning whether Eleanor is even mine." Adam's face darkened. "Babe is furious. I've never seen her so upset. If Ella Lehner wasn't Benjamin's mother, I think she'd have done something drastic." Anthony gave a solemn nod. "Keep her grounded. We don't need any more chaos." Before Adam could respond, Babe stormed into the room, her icy gaze fixed on Anthony. "What's he doing here?" she snapped. "And why are there cops parked outside?" Adam lifted a calming hand. "Easy, Babe. He's on Zachary's side in this." But the doorbell rang before further explanation. 2 police officers stood at the entry, their faces unreadable. Anthony met their eyes without flinching, the resignation clear on his own face. "I figured this might happen," he said quietly, turning and extending his wrists. As the officers handcuffed him and let him out, Adam called out, "I'll contact Zachary. We'll get this sorted." 6 months later, the dust had largely settled, though emotional wreckage remained. Eleanor had fought the divorce with everything she had. At first pleading for counseling, then making increasingly unreasonable demands. But the court-ordered DNA test brought finality. Eleanor was indeed Anthony's biological daughter. That truth brought him a complex mix of emotions, Relief, certainly, but also a lingering disappointment. His affection for her hadn't vanished, but the trust and admiration he once held were gone. They spoke rarely now. Their relationship was nearly non-existent, and she refused him any opportunity to see Kevin. A photograph taken of Anthony at a local pharmacy, his face visibly scratched with signs of fingernail damage, proved critical in dismissing the Class C misdemeanor charge for allegedly assaulting Penelope. At the same time, Anthony found himself locked in a bitter divorce battle with his wife, a woman he no longer trusted or respected. Penelope was determined to stall the proceedings, and her legal team played every card to delay. Everything changed one night outside a nightclub parking lot, where Penelope and Eleanor were brutally attacked. They couldn't identify the assailant, but security footage revealed a small, masked figure, dressed entirely in black, ambushing them with shocking ferocity. Wielding a slim, dense rod, the attacker struck both women repeatedly. In the video, the metal bar bent under the force of the assault. Despite sustaining serious injuries, broken bones, and shattered teeth, they survived. From their hospital beds, they admitted they had no idea who might have targeted them. While suspicion briefly fell on Zachary Davis, given the circumstances, his height, 6 feet 3 inches, quickly ruled him out. No suspect was ever identified. The attack shook both women deeply. Their social lives collapsed. They rarely left home, and tension between them escalated into constant arguing. Eventually, they dropped all resistance to the divorce. Custody of Benjamin was formally settled, splitting parenting time equally but designating Zachary as the primary custodial parent. Neither he nor Penelope received alimony or child support. More revelations emerged during the legal proceedings. Court-mandated DNA testing confirmed that Andrew Hurt was Kevin's biological father. As a result, Zachary was removed from Kevin's birth certificate, and Andrew was ordered to pay child support. For Andrew, the fallout was catastrophic. His wife immediately filed for divorce, and he was left financially responsible for their 3 children, along with monthly spousal support payments. Having pressured his wife to remain a stay-at-home mother for years, Andrew's finances spiraled into ruin, one he likely wouldn't escape. In the midst of all this, Zachary began to rebuild. His parents stood firmly by his side, providing him with the stability he needed. Despite the betrayal, he remained with Anthony's landscaping business and even helped expand it. Benjamin flourished under this new sense of normalcy. However, his time in his mother's home remained emotionally charged. Eleanor alternated between venting her resentment toward Zachary and lamenting her failed marriage in front of her son. Meanwhile, Penelope's animosity toward Anthony hadn't dimmed in the slightest. Her resentment only deepened as she watched Anthony become increasingly popular with the single women at their country club. Through it all, Adam and Babe stood as unwavering pillars in Zachary and Benjamin's lives. Babe, fierce as ever, showed no signs of slowing down. Even with several missing clubs in her golf set, she clinched her 5th consecutive title in the Women's Golf Championship, her spirit untouched by the chaos. And with that, my friend, the story comes to its end. If you enjoyed this journey, please drop a royal like, hit the subscribe button, and ring the bell so you never miss a twist. Until next time, may the force be with you.